Howdy folks, and welcome to this brand new episode of the Rochester Indie Musician Spotlight, Rochester's premier music and interview show. We're moving right along in season 6, and we're excited to be here bringing you another musically diverse season. Today we're chatting with Leah Ou, who plays the pipa, also known as the Chinese lute, as you can see right here. Folks will probably recognize Leah. She plays out on the street all the time at a lot of cool venues, and we're very excited to have her on. But before we chat with her, let's take a minute and thank the people who make the show possible. Josh Pettinger and crew at Wicked Squid Studios on Smith Street in Rochester have the expertise, experience, and the facility to handle all of your band's needs with an emphasis on community experience and fun. Drop them a line today to schedule your next recording session or to become a member of their studio today. This episode is brought to you by Bop Shop Records, Bernunzio Uptown Music, Sound Source, and Heads Brewing. Our home again this season is the warm, creative space of Bop Shop Records. At 1460 Monroe Avenue, Bop Shop Records is celebrating 30 years of presenting live creative music and is the best place in the 585 for jazz, blues, and classic rock in a curated vinyl selection. Bernunzio Uptown Music, located in Rochester's East End, has been providing Rochester and the world with quality vintage, new, and used string instruments since 1976. Bernunzio's also offers concerts, workshops, and jam sessions. They are now also a registered Stetson hat dealer. Find your sound in a Stetson. Trusted by musicians, recording engineers, and consumers, Sound Source is the place to go for audio gear, repair, consignment needs, and to have all your questions answered by knowledgeable and friendly staff. Visit them at 161 Norris Drive today. Good people, great beer, amazing music. Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue is quickly becoming a Rochester and regional favorite for unique brews and one-of-a-kind music. Concerts are Thursday through Saturday, with the Rochester residency kicking each week off, but the beer and good times are on tap every day of the week. Leah, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. So let's start off nice and easy. Are you a Rochester native?
No, I'm from China. I just moved to Rochester for a year.
You've only been in Rochester for a year, and that's it?
Yes.
So tell us about your upbringing in China. Were you, tell us like where you're from in China and your early musical experiences there.
Okay, I'm from Sichuan, China. Mm-hmm. I've been classical trained for 20 years.
Amazing.
Playing the pipa.
On the pipa, so that was the very first instrument you played.
Yes.
Tell us about how you got started playing it.
So my parents brought me to an instrument shop, and they have teachers and the sample of the music. So I look at this instrument and say, it's interesting, I like it.
What about it drew you to playing it? Can you say, like, what about, like, the people, like, really drew you and say, like, I wanted to play that?
So after playing this for years, I started to realize how amazing this instrument is. It just has 4 strings and has a lot of techniques to do on your left hand and right hands. So I feel like that's very amazing, and just one instrument, you can make the sound of an orchestra.
It's like, so when you're talking about like classical pipa training, is it similar to like classical guitar training that we might have here? Is the repertoire similar? Can you talk about what you were learning in classical pipa training? Okay,
so the sheet music of the pipa or all Chinese instruments we use numbered sheet music. Yeah, so we'll need to learn the music theory, and the teacher will teach you the song and the meaning of the song, and training your breathing with the song, and every techniques.
Yeah, and so let's talk about the repertoire that you both learned and now play when we see out. So let's start first with what kind of things you were learning. I think a lot of people watching might have a general idea of when we say classical guitar, who might be involved or how you go about learning it. But talk us through learning the classically trained pipa. Who were some of the composers, and what's that music like and the historical background of that?
Okay, so pipa songs, we have a lot of ancient songs. We have some war songs or very quiet and melodic songs to play on the pipa in a very small room. And we have some contemporary composers, which is Leah Ou. I like him. I like his work a lot. Yeah, so ancient and contemporary songs can play.
All right, so you've a little bit of everything. So when someone comes out and sees you play, whether it's like playing on the street or a small intimate performance that you're doing, what's the rep that you're playing?
Raps.
A repertoire. What kind of things are you playing when you're playing out in a gig?
Okay. So usually when I play out, if it's outside, I will play the traditional Chinese songs because I want people to know the techniques and the possibility of these instruments. And if I'm indoors and I have all equipment like pedals and speakerphones, I will play the songs I wrote.
Oh, very cool. Let's talk about your original music then. You were talking about how the Pipa music has a lot of ancient folk music, some war songs, and some contemporary composers as well. So when you're sitting down trying to write music for the Pipa, talk about writing the music and how it's different from your influences.
Okay. I think I have some, because I have the classical trained background, so the music I wrote has some special Chinese elements in it. But I will try to use different techniques that in old songs, but use different melody and my understanding of the music. On the new song.
So it's like a fusion. You're taking something that's old and you're taking something that's new and you're putting them together.
Yes.
And talk about, let's go back a bit. We will talk about, I mean, this is a beautiful instrument, so we'll do a little chat about what this actually is. I know we're doing so much talking about it, we don't fully know what it is yet. But talk about your move to Rochester. What brought you here?
Oh, my husband brought me here.
That's about as good a reason as I've ever heard.
He's from this area. After he graduated, he went to China. He joined the Peace Corps, which is a volunteer group, and they sent him to China and teach English.
And that's how you two met?
Yeah, we met in a company.
Well, I mean that's just a beautiful love story, and then you've been here in Rochester and enjoying your time here. So we have a couple Rochester-themed questions, so we'll get back to the Rochester thing. So before I talk about the Pipa, just one more thing. We've had musicians on the show who have really been great buskers. Jackson Cavalier is one of Rochester's best buskers. He does the one-man band thing. For you, what do you enjoy about playing in the street? I mean, you mentioned you want to show off the Pipa to some people who don't know, but why do you keep doing it? What is rewarding to you about doing street performance?
At first, I don't know anyone to play the Pipa in Rochester, and I think it's my honor and responsibility to share this instrument and the music to the people in Rochester. So I go out and play, and people liked it. And I saw me on the ads on television, so I think, oh, people like it, so that's why I'm in the advertisement.
Well, we love it too, and that's why you're here, and we're very happy that we can be a part of your message of spreading the Pipa as well. So let's talk about this. We actually found out here, Spotlight exclusive, that this is a new instrument. So this is gorgeous. So talk to us a little bit about the construction of this. I mean, is it wood? I mean, what are we looking at here?
So let's look at the back of the instrument. Oh, it's heavy. This is a wood called sour red rosewood from Laos. And as you can see, it's pretty. And this is the front board. We have a sound hole hidden here.
And that's it. There's no other sound holes. It's just
no,
one
this
at the
just
bottom.
just one. Yeah, and this instrument is hollow, but not as hollow as the guitar. So that's why I make the heaviness. You can hear there's some room in the instrument.
Right.
Yeah, and those are frets. This is our frets too, 4 strings.
Right, and what's the tuning of the 4 strings?
It's A, D, E, A.
Right. And are Pipas always tuned in that? Like, could you tune them differently? Are there different sizes?
Yeah, we can tune it differently to play different songs.
Right, so it's like guitar tuning where like you might have to go to a different tuning in order to facilitate. But for what you do, you mostly keep it at the same tuning?
Yes.
Makes sense to me. And steel strings as well. So these are all steel, and are these wound at all, or is it just?
Those are all metals, but those three has nylon around covered it.
Right, and that makes it a little bit easier to play too?
Not as easier, just the sound will be softer.
Got it. And are all pipas this ornate? I mean, we have this beautiful decoration up here. I mean, is this common, or is this like a next level pipa right here that has this? Yeah.
This is a carved lotus image, means lucky, I guess. Yeah.
Hard to argue with that. Well, thank you for taking. Well, actually, we do have one more thing. So, yeah, yes. You've got these. I mean, they look like these are. So this is just hard plastic.
Those are nylon.
Right, so these are nylon as well.
Yeah.
So it's not. So like the sound. Do people use different kinds of picks as well? I mean, do some people use metal picks or wood, or are they all nylon usually now?
Nylon fingernails are the most common one used on pipa. People can use like natural materials like turtle's shell. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yes, the sound of it are similar, but just minor differences.
Right, yeah. Just like a guitar pick, where like one might be a little softer, so it's a bit warmer. Yeah. That sort of thing. Before we get into our Rochester questions, I mean, one thing that I find really interesting about looking at the pipa is it's not like a guitar. It's not like a guitar where it's the same width all the way down. I mean, it gets wider as it go along. And you're talking about some of the what drew to the pipa was all of the right hand and left hand techniques. This does not look especially easy to play. I don't know if it is or not, but you can tell like as it gets down, it gets wider. So what do you have to do for your left hand to facilitate playing higher on the instrument?
Okay, you can the notes higher are lower.
What do you
the frets
right,
of the
right.
notes which on
right.
the higher
right.
frets are are lower.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And then, so moving up, how does your left-hand position have to change moving up the fretboard?
Okay, so you need to adjust your wrist. Mm-hmm. And you can use your thumb if you want to do wide range. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a beautiful instrument. So why don't we set your gorgeous instrument down? We have 3 more questions for you. This is the lightning round. Yeah. There we go. Bam. So, those who've seen the show before know this is the lightning round. These are 3 big picture questions, even though it's called the lightning round. You can take your time and answer.
Okay.
So that is quite okay. So, if you could accomplish one thing in music and be happy, what would it be?
I want to write as many songs I can and share to people.
Can't ask for anything more than that. You have a lot of great perspective on this as someone who grew up in China, came to Rochester. By the way, I think we can all applaud your English. It's very impressive. So, kudos to you. What makes Rochester such a great place for original music?
So first, I think the Eastman School of Music is the base of the original music that will happen. It has some traditional sides, and people living here are really supported to each other, like the underground music.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of freedom to write, to speak for myself.
You are killing these answers right now. And one more. As a lifelong musician, do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
I think I'm a aspiring artist.
You're the first person to say that, but really, any like tips or advice you'd like to give to anybody who's the same goals as you?
Maybe I just have some experience to share. So when I first got to Rochester, I go out, I put myself out there and play this instrument, which is not, this action is not acceptable by a lot of Chinese people. Yeah, but I think it's a good thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Leah, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. I'm Dan Gross. One more time, Leah Ou, and thank you so much for watching this episode of the Rochester Indie Musician Spotlight, and we'll see you next time. Josh Pettinger and crew at Wicked Squid Studios on Smith Street in Rochester have the expertise, experience, and the facility to handle all of your band's needs with an emphasis on community experience and fun. Drop them a line today to schedule your next recording session or to become a member of their studio today. This episode is brought to you by Bop Shop Records, Bernunzio Uptown Music, SoundSource, and Heads Brewing. Our home again this season is the warm, creative space of Bop Shop Records. At 1460 Monroe Avenue, Bop Shop Records is celebrating 30 years of presenting live creative music and is the best place in the 585 for jazz, blues, and classic rock in a curated vinyl selection. Bernunzio Uptown Music, located in Rochester's East End, has been providing Rochester and the world with quality vintage, new, and used string instruments since 1976. Bernunzio's also offers concerts, workshops, and jam sessions. They are now also a registered Stetson hat dealer. Find your sound in a Stetson. Trusted by musicians, recording engineers, and consumers, SoundSource is the place to go for audio gear, repair, consignment needs, and to have all your questions answered by knowledgeable and friendly staff. Visit them at 161 Norris Drive today. Good people, great beer, amazing music. Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue is quickly becoming a Rochester and regional favorite for unique brews and one-of-a-kind music. Concerts are Thursday through Saturday, with the Rochester residency kicking each week off, but the beer and good times are on tap every day of the week.